Archangel Michael says, "This person fell in love with you, even with the age difference. God wants you to listen to this now, because there are things your heart needs to remember, things your spirit already knows but may have forgotten in the noise of the world. In the quiet corners of your soul, God is whispering reminders of His love, His timing, and His perfect understanding of every connection placed in your path. What you see as a difference, He sees as divine detail. What feels uncertain to you, He has already prepared the answers for, gently wrapped in grace and placed before you, waiting for you to step forward with faith. Type 999 if you trust in God. Sometimes, what draws us to another person goes beyond what words can explain. It is not always about the years we've lived or the pages we've turned, but the way two souls find warmth in each other's presence, the way peace settles when you're near them, and the way your heart somehow knows that this isn't random. Love doesn't look at the numbers. It sees purpose, it sees alignment, and it recognizes God's fingerprints on something deeper, something eternal. When your heart leans into someone and you feel that undeniable pull, you must understand, God doesn't make mistakes. He is the author of every heartbeat and every divine encounter. There are moments when you feel unsure, maybe even afraid of what others will think. But God's plans for your life are not based on public opinion. They are built on heaven's wisdom. And when He brings someone into your life who speaks to your soul, who sees you with heaven's eyes, who holds your flaws with kindness and your dreams with care, then it is not your job to question, it is your job to listen. Listen to the stillness. Listen to the peace. Listen to the way Jesus Christ stands near, watching over your story, guarding the love that is growing within you. The world often tells us who we should love, what it should look like, and what rules we must follow. But Jesus never walked with the rules of the world. He walked with compassion, mercy, and truth. He sat with those the world rejected. He loved those others passed by. He lifted the broken, the unseen, and the misunderstood. If there is love blooming in your life that doesn't fit neatly into the boxes others expect, remember this: Jesus Christ did not come to build walls, He came to build bridges. Type 333 if you believe. Sometimes, what you call an age gap, heaven calls perfect timing. Maybe that person didn't arrive in your life earlier because your heart wasn't ready. Or perhaps you had to go through some things to finally see love clearly. Love doesn't always arrive at the moment we expect. It shows up right when it needs to, and when it does, it doesn't ask your permission, it simply unfolds. And when it does, it brings healing, joy, and a sense of being seen that can only come from something heaven-blessed. What if you could unlock a secret brain wave that top scientists discovered inside the hippocampus, the very switch that signals wealth and abundance? Hidden from the public for decades, this breakthrough can rewire your mind to attract prosperity faster than you imagined. Picture the stress of bills replaced with financial freedom and new opportunities. Every delay is a missed blessing, and those who act now are already walking into the wealth you deserve. Step forward before the door closes. Click the link in the video description and comments below to activate this ancient money wave and step into abundance today. Think about how Jesus walked among people of every age, every background, every story. He never once judged someone for being too young or too old to receive love, to give love, or to walk in purpose. The beauty of Christ's love is that it is ageless, limitless, and everlasting. When you feel that gentle stirring inside, when your heart feels held just by someone's presence, when their laughter lights something deep inside you, don't be afraid. Lean into it. Pray over it. Trust God with it. God's love for you is not measured by numbers, and neither is His will. If He places someone in your path who cherishes you, understands your heart, and points you back to Him, that is not something to fear, that is something to nurture. Sometimes, age just means one person has seen more winters and the other more springs, but together, they find balance, they find hope, and they walk the journey with more grace than either could alone. In every story God writes, there is timing, there is reason, and there is blessing. Don't be too quick to dismiss what feels sacred. Sit with it. Let it grow. Let it unfold in its own pace, under the warmth of His light. Let your heart rest in the truth that love, when born of God, will always bloom in the soil of patience, trust, and faith. And even if the world doesn't understand it, heaven rejoices in it. Your story is not over. Your journey is still unfolding. And if this love you feel carries peace, if it brings you closer to God, if it softens your heart and opens your eyes to beauty again, then trust that it's not an accident. It's a gift. And you don't have to defend a gift that God gave you. You only have to carry it well, love with intention, and let Jesus Christ guide each step forward. This is only the beginning. Keep your heart open. Keep your spirit anchored. And know that the love you're feeling, however unexpected, however different, may just be the very love that brings new life into places you thought were long forgotten. When God moves, He moves in ways that confound the wise. But those who trust Him, they will see miracles bloom in places where they once saw impossibility. And you, child of God, are meant to see miracles. Type 222 if you believe God is moving in your life. You may have tried to reason with yourself, tried to step away from the feeling, tried to silence the quiet affection growing inside you, but the more you tried, the more undeniable it became. Love that carries God's fingerprints will always carry gentleness, not force. It will feel like safety, not confusion. It will lead you back to light, not to darkness. Sometimes we place limits on what love should look like, thinking that God will only work within our rules, our timelines, and our logic. But God often works in ways that make us pause, look again, and finally realize that we were thinking too small. He takes what seems unlikely and uses it to reveal something extraordinary. That's what grace does. It reaches into the unexpected, into the places where fear and doubt like to hide, and it brings out something beautiful, something holy. There are going to be days when the enemy whispers lies into your thoughts. He'll try to plant seeds of shame, confusion, and hesitation. He'll tell you you're too young, or they're too old, or this doesn't make sense. But the truth is, the enemy only attacks what God is blessing. If this connection wasn't important, if it didn't have purpose, the enemy wouldn't even bother trying to shake your faith. But he sees what you can't yet. He sees the light coming from this love, the healing that could flow through it, the testimony waiting to be written from it. That's why he's trying so hard to stop it. But you are not alone. God has gone before you. Jesus walks beside you. And the Holy Spirit is within you, whispering, "Don't be afraid. I am with you." There is strength in surrendering your fears to the one who created love itself. There is peace in knowing you don't have to carry the weight of approval or judgment. You only need to walk in the light, one step at a time, trusting that God will lead you to where love is not only felt but lived, nurtured, and protected. This love may not have arrived wrapped in the packaging you expected, but that doesn't make it any less real. Sometimes the most genuine love comes in the most unplanned ways. It doesn't ask for permission, it just shows up, quietly at first, then steadily, like a sunrise. And before you know it, you're waking up each day with a heart that feels a little lighter, a soul that feels a little more alive, and a sense of gratitude you didn't know you were missing. That is the work of God, soft, steady, and unmistakable. Type 555 if you trust Jesus is working behind the scenes. Even if others don't understand, even if some turn away or speak words that hurt, remember who your life belongs to. Your story is not for the crowd. It's for the Creator. He sees what's unfolding in your heart. He knows the tears you've cried in secret. He knows how long you've waited to feel seen, to feel chosen, to feel like love could actually last this time. And He isn't going to let you walk this path alone. What He starts, He finishes. What He blesses, He protects. A mysterious 9-word prayer once sealed inside a private government vault is now resurfacing, and people everywhere are seeing financial breakthroughs overnight. Experts say it triggers a long silent part of the human brain responsible for abundance and wealth attraction. It takes less than 30 seconds to repeat, yet it's turning struggle into prosperity. Thousands are reporting cleared loans, sudden cash inflows, and unexpected blessings. Click the link in the description and comments before this secret disappears again. Let your heart breathe. Let it believe again. Love is not always loud and dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet and healing. Sometimes it feels like someone waiting at the door with patience instead of pressure. Sometimes it looks like someone holding your hand when no one else can see. And when that love points you back to God, when it reminds you of who you are and not just what you've been through, it's worth paying attention to. Because that kind of love is rare, and it's sacred. Your connection to this person isn't an accident. It's part of a larger plan. You didn't cross paths by chance. Your lives didn't intersect just to drift apart. Whether your bond becomes a lifelong partnership or a season that shapes you, God is in the middle of it. He's using this moment to teach you about patience, trust, forgiveness, and what it really means to be known and loved beyond performance or appearance. Don't rush the process. Let it unfold the way God intended. Stay close to Him. Pray about everything. Let your heart remain teachable. Let your spirit stay humble. And in the quiet moments, when you're unsure of what to do, just listen. His voice isn't always loud, but it is always full of peace. He won't lead you to confusion. He won't draw you into fear. He will lead you into love that honors Him, that reflects His grace, and that carries the fragrance of heaven in every word and gesture. You are worthy of a love that reflects the heart of Jesus. And when someone looks at you and sees not just your outer self, but the beauty of your soul, when they cherish your joy and stand by you through your pain, that is the kind of love that comes from above. Don't let doubt talk you out of a blessing. Don't let fear keep you from joy. And don't let age steal your faith in what God is doing. Type 1919 to receive miracles from heaven into your heart and life. There are moments in life when something simply feels right, even if it doesn't make logical sense. It may not follow the pattern others expect. It might even feel unfamiliar or surprising at first, but it carries peace. Not the kind of peace the world gives, but the kind that slips into your soul quietly, calming your thoughts and making you feel safe just by being near them. That kind of peace cannot be faked, and it certainly cannot be explained away. That kind of peace comes from God. It's the kind of peace that only settles on something that has been chosen and prepared by Him. Love, when it is truly from God, doesn't rush in loud or aggressive. It shows up steady, patient, and kind. It's the voice that doesn't pressure you but reassures you. It's the presence that doesn't distract you from God, but gently draws you back to Him. Sometimes it comes through someone you never imagined would understand you the way they do, someone who sees not just who you are now, but who you are becoming. Someone who doesn't look at your past with judgment, but with compassion, and someone who sees beyond the years that separate you and instead cherishes the connection that binds you. There is beauty in love that crosses time, that reaches across life experiences and seasons and still meets in the middle with grace and tenderness. It is not about age. It is about alignment. It is about how God weaves two souls together, not based on surface appearances, but based on the deep work He's doing within both hearts. He sees the strength in their maturity and the openness in your spirit. He sees the wisdom they carry and the light you bring. And when those things meet under His guidance, it is not a mistake. It is a miracle. Sometimes you might worry if others will understand. You might carry the weight of questions, opinions, and expectations. But remember this: Jesus never asked the approval of crowds when He chose who to love, who to heal, or who to walk with. He moved with compassion, not conformity. He sat beside the outcasts, embraced the forgotten, and listened to the hearts no one else made time for. That's the love you carry inside you. And that is the love that is flowing between you and this person now, not to cause confusion, but to bring healing. Type yes if your heart trusts in God's timing and truth. God has a beautiful way of preparing us through pain, shaping us through waiting, and then surprising us with joy when we least expect it. Maybe this person came into your life after a long season of disappointment or silence. Maybe you had already told yourself that your heart was too tired, or that you missed your chance, or that something like this could never happen for someone like you. But God has a way of restoring what was lost, reviving what was dry, and awakening what you thought would never bloom again. This love, this connection, it isn't just about romance. It's about purpose. It's about healing the broken parts within you that you stopped talking about. It's about opening the door to joy again, and seeing yourself through eyes of grace instead of shame. It's about being reminded that you are still someone worth choosing, worth holding, worth loving deeply. And sometimes, that reminder comes through someone who speaks a different language of experience, but who understands your silence better than anyone else. You don't need to force what God is doing. You don't have to make it make sense to anyone. The only thing you're asked to do is to stay close to Him. Let Him lead you. Keep your eyes on Jesus, and He will not let your foot slip. He sees the beginning and the end of your story. And right now, even if you feel unsure, even if your heart is trembling a little, He is walking beside you, whispering, "I'm here. I brought this into your life for a reason." Love that reflects the heart of Christ will never harm you. It will build you. It will teach you patience. It will call out the best in you. It will feel like home, not because it's perfect, but because it's honest. And if that love is growing between you and this person, then let it grow. Water it with prayer. Protect it with trust. Let God be the center of it. Because when He is, nothing can uproot what He has planted. And don't forget, God doesn't look at your relationship through the lens of the world. He sees the hearts, the intentions, and the fruit. He sees the kindness exchanged in secret, the prayers whispered late at night, the ways you hold each other's burdens and offer grace instead of pressure. These are the things that matter to Him. Not how many years stand between you, but how much faith stands within you. There will always be people who don't understand. There will always be voices that question, criticize, or compare. But your story is not written for them. It is written for the glory of God. And when He is the one turning each page, you can be sure that the ending will be full of light. Type 666 if you trust Jesus with your story, your timing, and your heart. Some things are not meant to be understood right away. They're meant to be felt. They're meant to be lived into, one soft moment at a time. Like the way you felt seen for the first time in a long time. The way your spirit rested when their voice wrapped around your fears like a prayer. Or the way your walls didn't go up this time, because something about them felt safe. You didn't have to explain why you were guarded. They just waited. You didn't have to hide your scars. They looked at them and whispered, "I see you. I'm still here." That's not ordinary. That's not something the world teaches. That is the love of Jesus reflected through someone's heart, quietly, sincerely, and without demand. And it does not come to everyone, but when it does, it asks for one thing: faith. Not the loud, public kind that needs to prove itself, but the quiet kind. The kind that sits in the stillness and says, "God, I don't fully understand this, but I feel you in it. I feel peace. And I trust you. It's okay that you didn't expect this. It's okay that it caught you off guard." That's often how God works. You may have thought your love story would look like everyone else's. You may have thought it would come wrapped in neat timelines and familiar shapes. But then He brought someone who didn't fit those outlines. Someone who loved with more depth. Someone who made you feel like maybe, just maybe, this was worth believing in again. And what a beautiful thing that is, to be loved in a way that softens you instead of hardens you. To be met with grace when you expected rejection. To be held in prayer when you thought you'd be pushed away. That's the kind of love God sends when He wants to remind you that He's still writing your story, and it's far from over. Buried deep in forgotten archives, a 9-word phrase once hidden from the public is now transforming ordinary lives. Neuroscientists call it a wealth frequency activator, because it awakens a part of the brain that naturally draws prosperity. It takes just seconds to speak, but the change can last a lifetime. People are waking up debt-free and financially secure. The page could vanish at any moment. Click the link before it's gone for good. Maybe people don't understand. Maybe they raise eyebrows or offer opinions you didn't ask for. But remember, the love between you and this person is not about them. It's about the journey you and this person are walking, hand in hand, with God between you, covering you, protecting what He has started. And if it brings healing to your soul, if it draws you closer to Him, if it causes you to grow in kindness, patience, and grace, then it is not something to question, it is something to thank Him for. Type 1212 if you walk by faith and not by fear. Sometimes the biggest blessings in your life will come in packages you never saw coming. A person older than you, or younger. A connection that spans miles or cultures. A bond that isn't celebrated by everyone, but is deeply cherished by the two who know it's real. And that's more than okay. Because God's ways are not our ways. He doesn't check social expectations. He checks hearts. You didn't choose to love this person because they matched a checklist. You loved them because they made your soul feel something it hadn't felt in a long time. You loved them because they carried the kind of wisdom that didn't talk over you but spoke into you. You loved them because they didn't try to fix you, they honored your healing. And through them, you began to see yourself again, not through the lens of pain, but through the possibility of what love could be when it's wrapped in God's timing. There's no shame in that. There is only grace. There is only a gentle invitation to trust God's work in your heart. Even if it feels strange. Even if you have moments where you wonder, can this really be right? Remember, peace is the answer. If there is peace, if there is prayer, if there is gentleness and patience and reverence for God in this connection, then trust what is blooming. Let it grow in the soil of faith, not fear. The truth is, age cannot measure the depth of love that comes from the soul. Years may shape us, but they do not define us. And when God knits two souls together, what He joins is not the outer image but the inner purpose. Maybe you were sent into their life to bring joy they had forgotten. Maybe they were sent into your life to remind you that you are worthy of the kind of love that speaks softly and listens deeply. Maybe together, you are building something sacred, something eternal. So breathe. Let your heart stop fighting what it feels. Let yourself trust again, hope again, believe again. You're not behind. You're not broken. You are in the middle of a love story that only God could write, and this chapter, this person, is a part of it for a reason. Whether for a season or a lifetime, you are not loving in vain. You are walking a path where Jesus walks before you, clearing the way, softening the ground, and leading you forward in mercy. Let go of the fear that says it's too late. Let go of the voices that try to shame what God is shaping. Let go of the pressure to explain a connection that was never meant to be explained, only experienced. Love like this, when it's built with faith, covered in prayer, and anchored in God, will never be wasted. Even if it looks different. Even if the world doesn't clap for it. Heaven sees it. Heaven honors it. Heaven rejoices in the way two hearts can grow together even through the unexpected. Type 2323 if your heart believes love guided by God can heal and restore. This person saw your soul long before they noticed the years between you. They didn't focus on what divided you, but on what connected you. They fell in love with your spirit, with your laughter, with the way your presence brought light into their life. And you felt it too, that invisible thread God wove quietly between your hearts, pulling you together in ways you never expected but couldn't deny. You felt peace, and where peace rests, God is near. Sometimes it's not about who's older or younger. It's about who sees you clearly and chooses to love you anyway. It's about someone who stands by your side when life feels too heavy. It's about how they speak to your heart without needing to say much at all. There's a sacred strength in a love like that, and when God is the one guiding it, there is no need to justify it. There is only a need to trust Him. The world often forgets that love isn't measured by calendars, but by kindness. It isn't built on timelines, but on trust. It isn't held together by age, it's held together by prayer, by faith, and by the kind of grace that only comes from Jesus. If this person makes you feel closer to God, if they lift your eyes to heaven instead of pulling you into fear, then what you're experiencing isn't something to run from, it's something to embrace, slowly, gently, with God's wisdom leading every step. You may have moments of doubt. That's natural. You may wonder if you're reading too much into it. You may wrestle with thoughts that sound like, what if this is wrong? But instead of letting fear answer those questions, bring them to God. Sit with Him. Speak honestly with Him. And then, be still enough to hear the peace He places in your heart. God isn't the author of confusion. He leads with clarity. And the love He writes into your story will never pressure you, it will free you. Type Amen if you believe God's love writes the most beautiful chapters of our lives. What if a simple 7-minute sound frequency could awaken a forgotten brain signal designed to pull wealth toward you like a magnet? Backed by shocking CIA files and neuroscience, this discovery is now changing lives everywhere. Think of debts melting away, promotions arriving, and abundance flowing freely. This is the one moment that can rewrite your future, but only if you claim it now, because hesitation will only keep you chained to the same struggles. Click the link in video description and comments below to experience the hidden wealth wave and let your financial destiny shift in your favor today. It's okay that your story looks different. God specializes in writing unique stories. No two testimonies are the same, because no two souls are the same. And maybe this love came to show you what it really means to be cherished, not for what you do, but for who you are. Maybe this person sees you in ways others never could. Maybe their age brought a stillness that quiets your fears. Maybe your youth brought them joy and color where they once saw only gray. Together, you balance one another, not by trying to be the same, but by letting each other be fully who you are. There's something so holy about being loved by someone who wants to understand your heart. Someone who doesn't rush your process. Someone who doesn't dismiss your pain. Someone who sees your potential even when you can't see it yourself. That kind of love doesn't arrive by accident. That kind of love is heaven sent. And while others may see the age difference and ask questions, God sees the healing and the wholeness being restored in both of you. Love like this walks slow. It listens well. It isn't driven by pride or pressure. It moves with compassion. It holds space for the past while building a new future. It doesn't ask you to shrink yourself. It honors your voice, your tears, your dreams. And when the storms come, and they will, it holds your hand tighter, not out of fear, but out of faith. Because God is in the middle. He is the glue. He is the promise keeper. And what He brings together, He covers in protection. You may not be able to explain to others why this feels so right. And you don't have to. The most sacred things often can't be explained. They're just lived, felt, guarded, covered in prayer and watered in silence. God is building something in your heart right now. He's showing you that love doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. It doesn't have to be popular to be real. Sometimes it's just two people quietly choosing one another, day after day, with Jesus guiding the way. So don't rush. Let this grow the way flowers do, in the warmth of the light, with steady roots, even if no one else sees it at first. Let God tend to your hearts like a gardener tends his field, with care, with patience, and with the confidence that what He has planted will bloom in the right time. You don't have to prove anything. You only need to be faithful with what you've been given. If this love brings you closer to Christ, it's a gift. If it teaches you patience and grace, it's a gift. If it makes you pray more, believe more, and love more deeply, then it is not to be feared. It is to be nurtured with reverence, because God doesn't just throw things together, He designs them carefully, purposefully, and with eternal intention. So walk boldly, not because you have all the answers, but because you know the one who does. Stand firm, not in human understanding, but in spiritual peace. Keep your heart open, your mind clear, and your hands lifted in trust. God is doing something beautiful in your life, even now, even in this, something holy, something healing, something only He could bring. Type 2020 to claim miracles unfolding in the background of your life. When God chooses someone to walk beside you, He doesn't ask permission from the world. He moves in the unseen, through simple encounters and small moments that eventually become the most meaningful parts of your journey. And often, those moments include people who don't fit into the mold others imagined for you. But God's plans are never limited by what others think is acceptable. His love stretches wider, flows deeper, and sees beyond the years you've lived or the experiences you've missed. You may not have planned for this love to come. Maybe you resisted it at first. Maybe you questioned your own heart because it didn't look the way love was supposed to look. But somewhere along the way, their presence began to feel like home. They listened when others didn't. They stayed when others drifted. And without trying, they reminded you of your worth. Not with fancy words or empty promises, but with patience, kindness, and the kind of peace that made your spirit settle. Love, when it's born in the hands of God, will always teach you something. It will show you parts of yourself you forgot to notice. It will uncover wounds you never knew needed healing. And it will stretch you in ways that feel uncomfortable, not to hurt you, but to prepare you for the kind of relationship that honors the heart of Jesus. This person's love may have arrived differently than you imagined, but it carries God's touch, gentle, pure, steady, and real. There's no shame in loving someone whose life began a few years before or after yours. What matters most is what's happening inside the relationship. Are you growing closer to God together? Are you learning to love without fear? Are you becoming more patient, more honest, more kind? These are the questions that reflect heaven's light on a connection. And if the answer is yes, then don't turn away from something simply because it challenges what the world calls normal. The most powerful love stories are not always the loudest. Sometimes they unfold in quiet moments. Sitting on the porch sharing life. Praying over one another before sleep. Smiling at the small things. Laughing in the kitchen. Holding hands in silence. These are the things that last. These are the sacred pieces that echo into eternity. And when someone older or younger brings you that kind of depth, it's not an accident, it's grace at work. Type 222 if your heart is open to God's plan even when it looks different from your own. What if the missing piece to financial success wasn't luck, but a hidden frequency inside your brain waiting to be switched on? Once activated, this ancient signal unleashes waves of prosperity, opening doors to opportunities you never thought possible. From sudden windfalls to long-awaited breakthroughs, it's transforming lives daily. Want to see how? Click the link in the video description and comments below to tap into the money magnet brain wave and begin your journey today. Others are already awakening this hidden signal and watching their lives transform. Do not be the one left behind while abundance passes you by. When you're walking in the will of God, He doesn't need you to explain yourself to anyone. He needs you to stay rooted in His peace. He needs you to trust that what He's planted in your life has purpose. This love, this connection, this person who makes you feel more alive than you've felt in years, there's meaning in it. There's divine order in the timing. And there is a reason you found one another now, not before, not later, but in this moment, where both of your hearts were ready to recognize something real. You may carry doubts. That's human. You may fear what others will say. That's natural. But look deeper than the noise. Listen to the still, quiet voice within you that says, "This love is doing something good in me." If it brings you peace, not pressure, if it lifts your spirit instead of draining it, if it makes you walk with more faith instead of fear, then God's hand is in it. There is no such thing as a perfect path. There is only the path that leads you closer to God. If walking beside this person helps you love more patiently, forgive more easily, and live more intentionally, then lean in. Don't run away from something just because it doesn't make sense on paper. God is not writing your story in ink and lines, He's writing it in whispers, in surrender, and in soul-level trust. Even the age difference carries a gift. Maybe they bring wisdom where you need guidance. Maybe you bring light where they've grown weary. Maybe together, you create balance. Not one above the other, but two walking side by side, learning to love like Jesus, with sacrifice, joy, and grace. Age doesn't matter when God is the one aligning your spirits. So instead of doubting the love that's been placed in your hands, start thanking God for it. Thank Him for the person who loves you deeply without condition. Thank Him for the moments when your eyes meet and you feel something holy. Thank Him for the way your heart rests in their presence and how prayer has become your language of connection. That kind of love is rare, and it should be held with both reverence and hope. The world might keep talking. Let them. You don't need to explain what only God could create. You just need to honor it, protect it, and keep placing it back in His hands. And every time you do, He will bless it. He will cover it. He will grow it. Slowly, faithfully, perfectly. In His time. You are not foolish for feeling this way. You are not wrong for opening your heart. And you are not out of line for believing that something beautiful can bloom from a place you didn't expect. That's how God works. And the more you trust Him, the more you'll begin to see, this was never about age. This was always about purpose, timing, and the healing kind of love that only He can offer. Type 1111 if you trust in God's way more than your own understanding. There's a quiet tenderness in the way this person sees you. Not through the lens of your mistakes, your age, or your story's complexity, but with the kind of clarity that comes from the soul. And perhaps it's because they've lived a few more seasons, or perhaps it's because they see something in you that others were too distracted to notice. What matters is the peace you feel when you're near them. Not just comfort, but peace. The kind that calms your racing thoughts. The kind that makes your heart feel like it's exactly where it belongs. You've grown used to hiding the softer parts of your heart. Life taught you that vulnerability could lead to pain, that not everyone stays, that not every "I love you" is safe. And yet, here you are, feeling seen by someone who didn't demand your trust, but simply waited for it. Someone who didn't rush your healing, but stood beside you while you slowly opened your heart again. That isn't ordinary. That's grace showing up in human form. God often sends people into our lives not to complete us, but to walk with us as He completes us. This person didn't come to fix you, they came to love you, and in doing so, remind you that you were never broken in the way you feared. Love like this doesn't depend on perfect timing or flawless circumstances. It simply grows, humbly and consistently, through kindness, through prayer, and through shared moments that turn into lifelong memories. You don't have to explain your connection to anyone. The kind of love that grows with God at the center isn't meant to be paraded or debated, it's meant to be protected. It's meant to be nourished in quiet places. It's meant to be soaked in prayer and wrapped in gratitude. If your love is rooted in faith, in truth, and in a desire to honor God through each other, then let the rest of the world fall silent. This isn't about them. It's about Him. Type Amen if you believe God places people in our lives for reasons we may not yet fully see. It's okay if there are still days when you wonder whether it's all real. They tried to hide this ancient 9-word prayer for decades, but it's finally been exposed, and those who speak it are seeing money flow into their lives in miraculous ways. Scientists reveal it awakens a neural pathway tied to abundance, joy, and opportunity. It's short, powerful, and life-altering. Thousands are already experiencing relief from debt and sudden wealth. Don't wait, click the link in the description and comments before it's removed forever. Amen. You may think the years between you create a gap. But God sees it as space for understanding, not separation. The love between you fills in what time cannot measure. Their strength supports your learning. Your energy revives their spirit. Their experience offers you guidance. Your faith reignites their hope. And together, you become something neither of you could have been alone. That is the beauty of love that is anchored in purpose, not just emotion. There is strength in this love, not in loud declarations or grand gestures, but in quiet consistency. In showing up. In listening. In praying together. In learning each other's hearts, not just each other's habits. When you find someone who wants to walk beside you in faith, whose love encourages your spirit and honors your past while building your future, you've found something worth holding on to.